Talked briefly the other day about perspective drawing, and perspective drawings all use the concept of horizon and a vanishing point in order to give the illusion of depth in the drawings that we're doing. So the first thing that we need with any perspective drawing is we need to mark the horizon. So on your paper, you can just choose a line that's maybe 3 down from the top and just trace over it. Oh, by the way, you should use a ruler for most of what you do with perspective drawings, just because it's going to turn out poorly if you don't. There are some of those paper rulers up front if you need one. So you're going to draw a horizontal line, which is going to be the horizon. Convenient. That's where the word horizon comes from, or horizontal comes from. And then the different types of perspective drawings, 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspective, refer to the vanishing points that the drawings have. And a vanishing point is a reference point where all of the sight lines converge. In 1-point perspective, we just have a single vanishing point. And we'll start by drawing with a vanishing point over on the left-hand side. So just choose a point arbitrarily on the left-hand side of your horizon and just make a dot there so that you know that that is your vanishing point. Save 2 or 3 squares from the end would be fine. And it really doesn't, there's really no set rule on where the vanishing point is. The vanishing point all just depends on the angle you're looking at the shape at. You can draw the same object with a vanishing point in the middle or over on the side or even below the object. The rules follow the same. It's just going to change a little bit about how the object looks when you're done. Okay. The way this object is going to look with the vanishing point over on the left is kind of like we're above the object and it's sort of down off to our right as we're looking at it. So now we'll take an object that we're going to draw. Well, let's do one that we haven't done yet. We haven't done number 11 yet, I don't think. So let's do, you may have done it yourself, but we haven't done it as a group. So let's, well, have we done 4 yet together?
Yes.
Yeah, we did do 4. Yeah, let's do 11. Let's do number 11. And just as we've done with the other types of drawings, we're going to start by first laying out a box that we're going to put our drawing into. So looking at the shape, we can see that it is 6 units tall and 8 units wide. That's what we're going to start with. So with 1-point perspective, you start similar to an oblique in where you draw the front-facing features in the front of the box true to scale. So we can use the squares that are on our paper to help us lay out that first one. You don't want to go all the way down to the bottom of the page because then it's going to look a little too stretched out. So go about halfway down your page and lay out your the front of your box, which is going to be, again, 8 wide and 6 tall. So assuming my page is a little taller than this board, I'll just go down to about here. Mine's probably going to look a little different than yours because I am freehanding a lot of this.
So we go halfway down the page?
About halfway would be good. And you're just laying out your box. Yep. Yes. So use the squares on your paper as a unit.
And you want it to be in the middle?
About in the middle. Yep. The bottom of your box can be about halfway down. No matter where you put it on the page, you'll still be able to draw a successful 1-point perspective drawing. It's just going to look slightly different than everybody else's depending on where you put your box. And there's nothing wrong with that. After you've drawn your rectangle, we now need to reference the vanishing point in order to know where the rest of the box that this shape is going to be in is. So you've got three corners here, this bottom right, the top, or bottom left, and top right. You're going to draw construction lines that go from those corners back to the vanishing points. I'm going to move my horizon up a little bit just so it looks more, it'll end up looking more like yours then. So once you have your construction lines there, it kind of looks like you got this long rectangular prism that's coming out off the horizon towards you. All right. So the next thing we have to do before we can actually start drawing it is we have to determine where's going to be the back of our shape. Where's the back of our box? Now this is a little more art than science at this point as far as you determining how far back the back of your shape should be. We're not actually going to count units for this. We're just going to take a guess that's going to look approximately true. Looking at the shape has a depth of 5 units. I just realized something. We're actually going to be making this object facing the other direction, but that's fine. But you'll see what I mean in a minute. So it's 5 units. Looking at our shape is 6 units tall, 8 units wide, so it's not as deep as it is tall or wide. So when you put your depth line on, you just want to kind of put it in a place that makes it look appropriately the right size. Keeping in mind that in perspective, the further things get away from you, the smaller they appear. So your depth line definitely shouldn't be as long as like your height line, because that's 6 and the depth is 5. But it shouldn't even just be a little bit shorter. It should be substantially shorter because it's moving away from you. So I'm going to say on mine, probably about here is going to work for a depth line. And then I'm going to, from that point, make a vertical line connecting those 2 construction lines and a horizontal line connecting these 2 construction lines. And it doesn't matter if it falls directly on one of the lines of your graph paper. It can fall in between some lines in the graph paper, but it should be parallel to the lines of your graph paper. Now hopefully you can see through your construction lines that you now have a box that we can put our shape into. I'll take a quick peek at how you're doing. Looking good. Yep. Okay. Where's your vanishing point? Where is your horizon? Okay, you actually have to draw a horizon. Here, let's start over down here, because you got too much stuff wrong down here. Get a ruler, so I'm right behind you. Make this line your horizon. Darken that line. Okay, put one hand over here, and then this line here, so that you're holding the ruler down. Okay, now color in a point, make a dot right there. Okay, now lay out your rectangle. That's 5. Okay. Now these corners have to connect to that dot, all 3 of them. Right, ruler, ruler. Looks like you're struggling a little bit with that thin ruler. Here, use this instead. Yep.
So, is this good?
Yep. Okay. Now we're ready to start adding the features for the shape. So we have the front of the box here, and just like we've started with the other ones, we're going to draw the features on the front first, the features that would be touching the front. Now, since this is a one-point perspective, we can draw the front features true to scale as they would be in the object. So looking at that object, it is an L shape that is 2 inches wide along the side and 2 inches wide along the bottom. So I'll just add those lines in. And that's the front of the shape. Don't add any other lines besides that, though. Yep. Nope. We're just kind of like you took the object and you just turned it, so you're looking at it from a slightly different angle. Now, before we can add any other lines, we need more lines of reference back to our vanishing point. In one-point perspective, all of the vertical lines are drawn vertically, all of the horizontal lines are drawn horizontally, but if we need to have a depth line, we need to refer to the vanishing point. So any new corners that we've created now, we need lines that go back to the vanishing point. We've got a new corner here, and we've got a new corner here. So grab your ruler, and again, these are construction lines, so they're lighter than your other lines. You're drawing a construction line to the vanishing point, and don't worry about going through your object. My ruler isn't quite long enough, so I'm just going to have to do my best. So those vanishing point lines always have to go all the way back to the vanishing point from whatever corners you have. Yep.
Should we draw one from the bottom of the L?
Right here?
Yeah.
Good question. There's a corner right here. Do we need a vanishing point line there? Since any of the rest of the features in this shape that would be there are going to be hidden from this view, we really don't need a reference line there. If we were actually drawing it from the other side, we would need that. But since we don't need to add any more features, we're good. Bottom right corner, again, same idea. It's all hidden behind the shape, so we don't need any. All right, now that we have some lines of reference back to the vanishing point, we can start adding some more features. Let's look at the top of the shape. The top of the shape kind of has a short L there, and we've drawn part of that short L with this line of reference. But it doesn't go all the way back. It goes back 3 units and stops 2 units from the end. So I'm going to pick a point 3/5 back. Wouldn't be quite accurate because that would assume a proportional amount back. But as you back up further, remember, it gets smaller. So probably about 3/4 back or so is going to be more appropriate. So I'm just going to find a spot about here that looks about where it should be. And since now I'm drawing a horizontal line, I can just draw a horizontal line across here a little bit. But how far does it go? Actually, I jumped the gun on that. I shouldn't have drawn that one yet. What I actually should do, I'm going to erase that. What I actually should do is go to the back of the shape here. And on the back of the shape, we can see that that extends halfway across. That L shape extends halfway across. So I'm going to just find halfway across this back line here, right here. That's halfway. And now I need another line of reference back to my vanishing point. That extends through that point a little bit. Because that then is going to show me how far this line has to come across. So I've extended through this point I made halfway, and now I can draw a short horizontal line that'll join up with that. And I'm going to darken in the object lines that are going to make up the top of this shape. There's a temptation to erase your construction lines when you're doing perspective drawings, but don't. Just leave them there. First of all, it helps me when I look at it to make sure you did it correctly. Second of all, it helps you when you're drawing it to see how everything is supposed to refer back to the vanishing point the way it should. So those are the only features that actually touch the top of the box. There's a slanted side there that we're going to have to get in a little bit, but it doesn't actually touch the top of the box. Yes?
How would you just estimate the difference for that for changing terms?
Right here? This was halfway across. So yeah, I did kind of estimate it, but yeah, it's halfway across. And then how much it goes out right here, that I just estimated.
How do am I supposed to estimate?
Yep. Yep. And when you're first doing this, you're just guessing. As you do it more, you'll start to understand where the proportions should kind of fall. And you'll also be able to tell if you didn't quite do it right. It looks a little bit off, so the next time you do one, you'll be able to do a little bit better job. And this is all just practice, so don't worry about it if it's not perfect. All right, there's not many features left that we have to draw on this shape, especially from the angle we're looking at it here. Down on the side there, this side we can see here. We can't actually see it on our drawing, but we can assume that it's just a solid rectangle because that's the way it looks like from the drawing. Down on this side over here that's hidden from us, there is a flat area, just a flat rectangle that goes all the way across. And then there's that sloping side that comes down. Now the way we're going to draw that is first we want to figure out where the corner would be back here. So remember when I said you didn't need to draw a construction line from this corner down here? I'm going to change my mind a little bit. That's going to be a little bit helpful to draw that. So I'm going to draw a construction line from this bottom corner. And then I'm going to look here. This is where the back corner is here. I'm going to draw a horizontal line straight across until it meets it. Just a construction line again, though. It's not going to be an object line. And what I've drawn there now is the bottom of the shape. You have to picture looking through this shape and looking at the bottom. We've got the bottom of this shape now. Then, this line here, which represents the angle of the side, if I draw a light line straight up from that, this corner here represents the back corner of the shape. And that's important because this corner would connect with that back corner, and this corner would connect ahead of that back corner. So I'm drawing geometry here that's actually hidden, but I'm realizing that the way we started drawing this, we kind of need it as a reference. So this line here is that back corner. I'm going to extend a line about the same here to here. And that's going to be the slope side there. Now we're just about done. There's only 2 lines that are needed left on this one. This line, which was a construction line, becomes an object line. That connects the end of the slope to there. And then there's a horizontal line right here that represents the back seam of the object before it's hidden behind the rest of the object. So this has to come down. This is the back of the shape.
Yeah.
So you need to come down this line a little bit for where this slope is going to match, and then it goes back across.
It's supposed to come to this corner.
It pretty much matches up with this slope, which is a little hard to, because of the way that I set this up. I kind of set it up incorrect. I set it up in a way that's hard to picture that. So just make a line that comes from that corner to like this corner here. And it's almost matching the same line here.
I can't help it.
And then there's a line that goes straight across here.
It has to be from this corner here.
Yeah, and this is actually the back of the shape, but it ends up coinciding almost perfectly with that other one.
So, you need to do 6 of these, 6 of these, and 6 of these?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't.
All right. It's not terrible, and I think the way, that's actually pretty good. The way I arranged it, it made it more difficult than it needed to be. So that's partly on me. All right, let's do another one. I think we got time to do another one. Yeah.
I'm not supposed to see this back of the ramp.
That actually looks good. See, it was different from yours and mine just because every time you move it a little bit, which we're all a little bit different, it's going to be different. All right, you all did a pretty good job with that one. I realized by the end here that it was more, that one was more confusing than it needed to be. But let's do another one. I think you're doing good progress so far. All right. This time, let's do number 7. We're going to do number 7. And this time, you can go to another page. If you have about half the page left and you want to do it on the bottom of the page, you may. You would have enough room. If you want to go to a new page, you also may do that. This time, we're going to do it with the... This time, we're going to do it with the vanishing point on the other side of the horizon. So I'm going to make another horizon here. I'm going to put my vanishing point over on this side. We're going to start the same way. Looking at number 7, it has a total width of 8 again. and a total height of 6 again, so it's actually the same dimensions overall. And the first step for a one-point perspective drawing is always the same. Once you have your box laid out for the front, you draw construction lines back to the vanishing points.
What are the dimensions of the box?
6 by 8. This one is also 5 in depth, so it's going to be a similar shape from the other time. So I'll choose a line that appears to me to be about the right depth backwards. Now we'll add the features that are touching the front of the box. For this one, for number 7, which we're on, there's 2 rectangles in either corner that are 3 tall and 2 wide. After you get those 2 shapes drawn, you're going to make construction lines for each of the new corners you've made. Depending on the complexity of a part, you could have a lot of construction lines in a perspective drawing. All right, then, if I look at the side of the shape right away, I can see that my construction line's already laid out for me the rectangle that makes up the side here. So I'm just going to darken that in. And looking at just kind of going along the side here, this actually, if I do a horizontal line across there, that will give me the rest of this side as well. So I've got sort of that little box that makes up the right side of the figure. Now this corner here is an important one because that is a reference that I can take up to the top of the back. And that's going to tell me where the corner of the back is. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here on the other side with just a couple construction lines. This would continue over straight over here. So that would be here. And it would go straight up here to the back there. So again, I'm kind of looking through the object to the back because I need to know along the back line where these 2 points are that it connects the back on the top. And now that I know where these 2 points are, where it connects from the top, I can draw construction lines from the vanishing point that tell me where they come forward. So now on this top, I've sort of divided it. The middle section is where that center tower is, and then there's the 2 end sections where there isn't anything. But that center tower only comes forward halfway. So I'm going to pick a point about halfway. It's actually a little bit less than halfway because of the depth that it's at. And then there's a horizontal line to mark where it goes across. And I'll darken these object lines because that makes up the top. So right here, this little rectangle is the top of the shape, and now I got lines that come straight down to make up the middle tower part. So it comes straight down to this construction line here, and straight down until it disappears behind the object there. Okay, so that went up there. Now you need a construction line that goes back to this point and forward. See this corner? You need a construction line right there. Okay? And also one for there. Okay, oops, sorry. This has to come up straight here, that corner right there. Yeah, looking good. So if you see that you strayed a little bit away from your construction line, it should be right along that line. And same for, and then this, which extends across, like this horizontal line would be all the way across, and it's going to come up straight there too.
I got lost right there.
Okay, so now this line here is the back. It's going to be the same over here, so you need a straight up line from there.
Right to there.
Yeah, but the straight one, right there. Yeah. Okay. But it went too high. Your back is right here. And then you need extension or construction lines that go from the vanishing point through that corner and through that corner. That looks pretty good. All right, stick with it. In general, you're doing a good job. These are not easy to do. Okay, so this line right here, you've got to refer that back to the vanishing point, and it's going to be at an angle.
Oh, this corner?
Yeah. Right. So that point is in the right spot, but the forward point is wrong because it's got to match that angle there. Keep going. Yeah. So this line right here is going to be out here instead of right there. All right, to finish this one up, this one's pretty much just done here. This back corner here is hidden, so I'm just going to darken these lines in here. This one goes here to meet this, and this vertical, and then there's just a horizontal that fills in the space here. Let me see if I can darken it in to make it a little more obvious. And that one's done.